Wow. Ephraim was just announced for Fire Emblem Shadows. That's freaking epic. I've been waiting for this for a while. So Ephraim is my favorite fictional character of all time, and I've been looking forward to getting him in Shadows for a while. I've been playing since launch, just getting ready for him to get in, and also because I do find the game genuinely fun. I know a lot of people aren't fans of it, which I understand, but I think it's really fun. But yeah, I have 2 million gold ready. I'm ready. I'm very ready to get Sigmund. I'm hoping that Sigmund has a cool effect and not a boring effect, but we'll see. But more importantly than its effect in the game, I just want to talk about how Sigmund they finally got. Oh my god, I'm so happy about this, and it's really most people aren't going to get this at all, but I am so happy that they got Sigmund right. They've God, so they've had the. I'm not personally a fan of the Fire Emblem Heroes design of Sigmund. I think it's okay. Like it's grown on me in the last few years, but I've never been a huge fan of it. But I love this design of Sigmund, the one that they used for Fire Emblem Engage, which was also in it was originally in Chico's cipher art for him. That's what they used as reference for Sigmund and Sigland in Fire Emblem Engage. In Fire Emblem Engage, his the model for Sigmund was unfinished. It was just completely gold. There was no blade. There was no differently colored blade on it, even though there should have been, because obviously that's how it looked in the original art. And Sigland had a different colored blade, so why would Sigmund just be completely gold? Like it was just unfinished. That's why there's that really heavy glow on it, so that they could hide that it was unfinished. And it's pretty obvious that it was unfinished, but then in Fire Emblem Heroes for Emblem Erica, Ephraim was there and he had that Sigmund, but it was completely gold. So I was so worried that every Ephraim in the future was just going to have this obviously unfinished version of Sigmund as his main weapon. But thank God it's proper here. Like I'm so like this is the dumbest thing to be so excited about, but I'm just over the moon that they that they got this weapon right. I can't put it into words. Like this I'm I'm pretty much as excited about that as I am to see him in the game, which is pretty crazy. Like I'm just really happy. Anyway, that's enough about Sigmund for now. Uh Ephraim. He's in the game finally. It looks like he's a tiger. That's what a lot of people are saying. I don't know if there's like a specific kind of tiger he's supposed to be representing, but he looks a lot like the cat lagoos, like you know, Ranulf and Leth. Even has the same like markings on his face, which is kind of a cool look for him. Like when I first saw it, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird, but it's I kind of like it. I think it's a cool spin on Ephraim, and it's in Shadows. They can kind of play around with the appearances. Like I like that he has the same outfit, but it kind of has this unique spin on how he looks. Also, this rendition of his outfit is more accurate than any of his versions in Fire Emblem Heroes, which is pretty funny. The only thing that is different from his Sacred Stones version is that he has this little fur on his shoulder, which is fine. It's kind of neat looking, but other than that, it looks almost identical to a Sacred Stones look. And of course, he's doing the pose. Oh, also, he has these golden claws on his hands. He has like the like cloud, like Kingdom Hearts Cloud's little golden claws on his hands, which I kind of like. It's pretty cool. It looks kind of silly, but I like it. Uh, but yeah. Also, his epithet is Skylance, which is a strange one, but I think it's supposed to be referencing blue skies. which is of course a skill that the twins have in Engage, which is itself a reference to Ephraim's Japanese epithet in the original Sacred Stones, which is Brave King of the Blue Skies. I assume that's what they were going for, which is a cool reference if so. It's a little out there, but I like that. It's cool. And I don't think he's supposed to be a prince in this world, so I guess you couldn't really call him Restoration Prince or Restoration Lord or anything like that. But and they could have done like Restoration Lance, that would have been fun. But I think this is cool. Also, a song starts at 55 seconds, which is it's like an arrangement. It's a new arrangement of at least two songs from Sacred Stones, which is it starts with Return of the Demon King and then transitions into the final battle. It sounds really cool, and I'm guessing this is going to be Shadow Ephraim's theme whenever he's the Shadow.
Now's our chance!
I think I also heard Determination in there, which is Ephraim's map theme for Ephraim's route, which is cool. Now let's talk about his abilities. He has a Thunder Self Edge EX here, which is not the most unique personal ability, but it's a good one. I think it's pretty nice. It's not as useful for light Ephraim, but that's not really that big of a deal. Shadows typically need more help anyway because high rank shadows it's harder to win as a high rank shadow. So yeah, it does instant damage plus it buffs his own attack. It's decent on both fronts, and more importantly for Shadow Ephraim, it lets him use a Dark Edge pretty freely, which he already probably could have used, but if you use Edge Break on him, it would have made it harder for that to work. But with this, it should be able to offset it, so that'll be good. Probably won't be as much of a menace with it as Karina can be, but still really strong with it, while also having that instant damage, which is nice, especially against warpers, and just the fact that like the entire meta of light and high rank is just playing hopscotch. Yeah, having instant damage is nice. Holy Thunder is his second ability. I like that it's holy. It makes me think of Water Shell, which I'm sure wasn't what they were going for, but it's cool nonetheless. It's kind of weird that he has thunder spells because like his affinity is fire and he uses the flame lance, but I mean he's blue and shadows is associated with thunder, so it makes sense, but it's just kind of weird. But anyway, Holy Thunder, I like this a lot. It's a very nice reference to Sacred Stones and the Sacred Twins in general, where they do triple damage against monsters. They do bonus damage against monsters, which in Sacred Stones and most games is triple. This isn't going to do anything against players, and I assume it doesn't work on shadow players. That would be kind of surprising. I assume it's just the monsters, so this is more a floor 1 kind of deal, but it would be pretty good for floor 1, and it could be good for some situations in floor 2, but not generally what you would want to go for. Thunder Shield Break plus Cav. So I don't know about this one. I kind of like it. It's more instant damage with a status, and it's a full 4-second cooldown, which is pretty good. I mean, that's really good compared to, I mean, if it was a 6-second cooldown, it would obviously be a lot worse. But I don't know if it's that much better than just regular Shield Break in a lot of situations. It's definitely not nearly as good as Veronica's type-specific spell, the Fire Strike Flyers. Because that is just That's so good. It's just a shorter cooldown, and it is a movement spell, which is obviously meta. I think it basically makes flyers the best movement type right now. But this is nice. Again, though, I don't know about this versus regular shield break, because regular shield break is already 1 second cooldown. So I don't know. It could be good. Like I guess it would be good for like Karina, because you kind of like having shield break with Karina, but it's also nice to have instant damage with her, and it's kind of hard because you already have self mend and then a movement skill. So this could give you both instant magic and shield break. So it's really good for Karina. I don't know if it's as good for Ephraim specifically because he already has an instant spell, but yeah, I mean, it's good. Obviously, this paired with his personal skill gives both instant damage and a bunch of auto attack damage, which is a good combo. It's cool. I will definitely try it out, at least. And then his last skill is Dark Rapid Thunder. This is the first of its kind. It's just big damage, big delayed damage with a fast cooldown, but it's one use. So this is interesting. When I first saw this, I thought it was pretty bad. You're really pressed for space with shadow magic because you kind of need a lot of stuff. So having one-time uses, not typically the best. With Dark Region, it's worth it because you just get so much healing out of it. But with Dark Rapid Thunder, I don't know, like, the more I think about it, it's potentially really good because the shorter cooldown, it essentially gives you a free kill because you can put that down, it'll show it with the delay, they'll play hopscotch, and then you'll have a short enough cooldown that you can punish the hopscotch with a regular Dark Thunder or Dark Slash or whatever. So it essentially gives you one almost guaranteed free kill. However, I don't know. The one-time use is just kind of... I'm not sure. I'll have to do some testing with it to see how I feel about it. I kind of like it to get the last kill because a lot of times shadows kind of get stymied by, like, one person is dead and then you have to kill the last person, but then they play hopscotch and then the other person can also help them play hopscotch with their movement ability. So it's good in the sense that it could get you the last kill, but at the same time, say you do that and then you drop Dark Slash right where they're going, but then the other person plays hopscotch. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. It's situational. I think it could be good in some situations, but it's hard to say. One-time use just kind of not ideal for Dark, but I mean, it's not ideal in general, but it's not bad for like floor 1 stuff. But obviously I wouldn't really put this on floor 1 regardless. This is much better as a way to try to help you close a battle in floor 2. So, I don't know. So it's interesting that he's a mercenary in this world. But he still has the solar brace, which I also want to say, him having the solar brace, I appreciate that they obviously didn't forget it, like they have in some some of his alts in FE Heroes. But also, they actually modeled the solar brace on his right wrist in his actual model, which I appreciate. They could have easily just left that out and not bothered, and most people wouldn't care. But I appreciate that they went the extra mile. Also, he's a cavalry, as we saw with we saw that in the Shadows Cup that he and Erica would be cavalry. Speaking of Erica, I know they don't really do a whole lot with world building in this game, but him being a mercenary makes me curious about what Erica will be doing, because I assume that if he's a mercenary, that means he's not a prince in this world, which I talked about a little earlier. Because obviously he wanted to be a mercenary originally, but ultimately chose to go against what he wanted in favor of atoning for his mistakes in the beginning of the game and helping his people, which is a big part of his character growth, of course. Probably go into that in more detail in another video later. But if he's a mercenary in this world, it makes me think that maybe he and Erica are not royalty in this world. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me curious about what the situation will be with him and Erica. Like, is Erica gonna be with him, like, in his mercenary troop? Maybe she'll have like a mist type role in the mercenary group, or maybe she stayed at home while he went out and became a mercenary. I don't know. It's interesting to think about, but I mean, it's interesting to think about, but at the same time, it's unlikely they'll really go into detail about it because it's kind of a shame because a lot of the characters that uh a lot of the mainline characters that are in this game have like it's interesting that they're like different from their normal selves. Like they're similar in personality to their regular selves, but they have like different circumstances, and it would be interesting to see them explore that in universe and like in world, and how that like shapes their lives, how their lives have been prior to this and all that. But it's just obviously it doesn't seem like they're gonna focus that much on the mainline characters, which is kind of a shame. But I get it, but it's just kind of a darn shame because it'd be cool to just have like maybe an entire book dedicated to like exploring the lives of the mainline characters and how they are in this universe. Like we know Lynn has amnesia. Dimitri is like he's like kind of feral. He's with the shadow goddess, which is kind of weird, but it's supposed to be. It seems like it's supposed to be feral Dimitri, right? But how did he get to that point in this world? I don't remember his rapport lens right now. I've watched all the rapport lens except Uni, so I'm still working on her. But I guess still a mercenary leader. But you know, it'd be interesting to see how his mercenary troop is different in this world as opposed to in his own. Maybe Ephraim is part of his troop. I don't know. It'd be cool. It'd just be cool to think about because with Fire Emblem Heroes you get to see like the actual characters taken from their world and interacting with each other, which is cool in its own way. But this is a very unique opportunity to intermingle their backgrounds and see how that would shape the characters or shape the world. I don't know. It's cool to think about, but again, it's unlikely that they'll actually play around with that much. They seem more focused on the narrative with the original characters and shadows, which is understandable, but it would be cool to have both, Why not both? I think that's most of what I wanted to talk about. I guess I didn't really mention it, but I really like his art. I think especially his light art, I think it just looks so good. Like I love that they put him in his pose from Sacred Stones. I'm so happy about like that's so cool. And then his shadow art, I was kind of iffy about it first, but it's kind of growing on me already. I like how his pauldron like changes shape to become like more edgy, kind of. Also, something interesting is his solar brace actually changes also when he goes shadow. Like you can see. I'm gonna probably zoom in here that in his light version, it's like his typical solar brace where it's completely gold. But then in his shadow version, it's like gold and white, which is kind of cool. I mean, it probably doesn't mean anything, but it's just cool to see something like that also change because it's such an important item in Sacred Stones. But yeah, like it's cool to see his armor just kind of shift with him, and it's the pauldron is definitely the most striking part because it like gets a new design with like this double star or double cross kind of look. Looks really cool. It's kind of interesting to think about how Ephraim's life would have gone had he not experienced what he did in Sacred Stones, because he kind of has parallels to enemies in Sacred Stone, like some of the noteworthy enemies in Sacred Stones. Like he has parallels to Selena with she's really loyal to Vigard and he's really loyal to Leon. So it's like, but he has to get over that. Anyway, that's not that's again a discussion for another time. But the more interesting parallel is his parallel to Volker, which I think more so than any others was one they wanted to play with, but maybe didn't have the time to. Because in his support with Erica, he talks about how he enjoys fighting, and she basically says, she supports him no matter what, but just make sure not to lose himself in the fighting. And he says that he wouldn't. So it's kind of interesting to think how his life might be different had he not experienced all that. If he had just as a young and kind of selfish, like at the beginning of the game, he's very self focused. He's self centered. He's selfish. He cares about his glory more so than he cares about his people or even his family. He makes excuses like, "Oh, I'm in Grotto to totally draw the attention of the army," as if what he's doing is going to distract them from taking Renee. Like a pants on heads logic. It doesn't. It's obviously just him making excuses for why he's there, which he reflects on later when he talks about when he's obtained Sigmund, where he talks about how he should have stayed behind and defended the kingdom, but instead he just raced off, chasing after personal glory. So, and he even like he's so selfish that he doesn't even recognize that Orson is suffering so much. Like he's lamenting so badly after losing the most important person in his life. Like not even that long ago, it was like months before. But Ephraim is just like, I don't, like, he doesn't even notice. He just says, okay, saddle up, Orson. We got to go take some keeps, bro. But he learns from his mistakes and he, like, changes for the better. And that's kind of why his guilt really informs why he chooses to forego what he wanted, which was becoming a mercenary to become a king, which he never wanted to be. But he had to make it up to his people. Which is an interesting, but anyway, God, when I get talking about Ephraim, it's ridiculous. Anyway, it's interesting to think how, assuming this version of Ephraim is more like his early game self, which I don't think he is, because I imagine most of them are based more on their end game self, and he has Sigmund and everything, so it would be kind of weird if he acted more like early game Ephraim. But regardless, just think about how had he not gone through what he did and how if he had become a mercenary like he is in this world, like how that could shape him, how that could change the trajectory of his life, and maybe how he might lose himself to the thrill of battle like Walter does, like he promises Erica he won't. And I wouldn't be surprised if his shadow rapport lines reflected this. Like his light lines are probably going to be more what you'd expect, but then his shadow lines are going to be more along the lines of like just relishing in battle and just losing himself in it, like just going full, just completely forego everything else for the thrill of battle and conquering his opponents and everything. Like I feel like that is probably what his shadow rapport lines are going to be more about, but because even in the trailer he says,
my name is Ephraim. Are you also looking for a chance to fight?
I will say I was hoping he would be a wolf, because I just like wolves in general. They're my favorite animal, but I do like how he looks regardless. So it's cool. My slight disappointment about him not being a wolf is completely eclipsed by my excitement for him being in and just the fact that they got Sigmund right. I'm so happy about. Fun fact, I actually predicted that Ephraim would be the next Shadows character. As you can see right here, this is from my Discord group with my friends. I'll include the screenshot right here. Here's my proof, exhibit proof right there. I also posted it on the comments of another channel that talks about Effie Shadows a lot. So maybe I'll include that too. Regardless, it's epic. I'm excited. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about, but I do want to say I want to briefly talk about the effect that I hope to see on Sigmund. I'm not too picky as long as it's not a boring one. Like, I really hope it's not like take 30% less damage from sword users or some shit like that. Those effects are so boring. I hope like the effect on Erebor is a good one. I would kind of like it to be that, but at the same time, that's already on the lance, so I don't think they'll redo effects on the same weapon type. Like they gave that effect to Ragnell, but that's a sword, whereas Sigmund is another spear, so I don't think they would give it the same effect, which is fine. It makes a lot of sense on Erebor anyway. If he copies another ability that's already in the game, I hope. If I were to pick one, I think I would want it to be Amir's effect, which I guess is kind of an obvious pick because it's the most recent and it's the most interesting. But I think it would synergize well with Ephraim's intended playstyle of just really aggressive blitzkrieg, essentially. He does guerrilla tactics just like in Sacred Stones. If it was a new effect, I think one of two things would be cool. It would be cool if it was increased attack just by a percentage, kind of like what Wily Staff does for HP. Like Wily Staff does I believe it's 5% HP increase, which is a Tamamo Staff. It would be kind of cool if Ephraim's did like a 10% or 15% attack increase, because attack increases are generally higher than HP increases, so I imagine it wouldn't just be 5, but that would be cool, and it would be a good reference to the fact that obviously Sigmund in Sacred Stones gives +5 attack. It would also be interesting if they did something where it does bonus auto damage against monsters and shadows, but I don't know how realistic that is. It also wouldn't really help at all for Shadow Ephraim, but at the same time, the weapon effects usually aren't that helpful for shadows anyway, because very rarely are you going to hit an auto attack as a shadow, because they just play hopscotch. So it wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world, but it would also be a cool reference, obviously, to dealing bonus damage to monsters, which I think shadows being considered monsters would make sense. So yeah, those are basically the 3 effects that I would hope to see one of those 3. Any of them would be cool. I just hope it's something interesting and not boring, because the deal X% extra damage against one weapon type sucks. It's so boring and lame. Or like the take X% less damage from weapon type. Ugh. Sucks that like Wherein got stuck with take less damage from sword users. Oh boy, that's so exciting. Or I could just give her like the Soundstone. I'm pretty sure it's the Soundstone that does less damage from everything when your HP is high, which it pretty much always is. I mean, I guess that is one instance where the weapon effects can help Shadow, where it lowers auto attack damage, but regardless, it's probably not going to impact that much. But either way, it would make a lot more sense for Ephraim, both his character and the playstyle they want to give him in Shadows. It would make a lot more sense for him to have an offensive effect on Sigmund anyway. So I hope it's one of those 3. If it ends up being boring, that's going to be a shame. But I mean, it's not going to hamper my excitement to see him and to see Sigmund done justice finally. Like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy about that. I hope so much that they do like a new version of Ephraim soon at some point in Heroes that has this version of Sigmund also, and it looks proper. And ideally he's wearing his last Cypher outfit. I'll show a picture on screen that Sachiko did. That looks so good. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. The recording's 40 minutes at this point, so I'm just excited. But I hope you all have a good day. I'll see you later.